All right, everyone, just getting into a quick Summer League video for PrizePicks and Underdog. Today, we'll be coming out with a MLB-based props video later on today as well, so be on the lookout for that. Let's go ahead and get into it. So starting out right now, we have the Cleveland game that's going to start about an hour after this video is uploaded, so we'll see. We have a couple of decent props. So we got Bates here, where PrizePicks is valuing him at 25.5 for points, rebounds, and assists, where Underdog has the line set at 24. And then if we go ahead and flip this around, I find it very interesting that Isaiah Mobley's props for points is also 1.5 off. That is very interesting that we are getting kind of that distinction, but what I find strange is that PrizePicks is essentially saying Bates is going to have a good game, where at the same time, someone like Isaiah Mobley is not. That is weird. And then just in that game in general, we can see Isaiah Mobley's points, rebounds, and assists is set at 23.5 on Underdog. It's set at 24.5. So I think that is going to be a good prop that we want to go in and attack on PrizePicks. He's a player that I like. And then in that same game, we got Freeman Liberty, who has been someone that has been playing pretty well for the Chicago Bulls. So let's go ahead and take a deeper look into those plays real quick. So Freeman Liberty has been someone that has been getting a ton of minutes, and obviously that is going to be key in NBA DFS. And he also has been shooting the basketball extremely well. We can see 28 points and 24 points. Yes, a lot of that 28-point production came from free throws, and then in the other game, it came from 4 for 6 threes. That's all good and dandy. I just find it weird, the line that we're getting for someone that has been playing, kind of extremely well. Even like the line for what he did against Toronto, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 22 there for points, rebounds, and assists. Like, even in that regard, you add on a few more points, that feels a little bit too low. But for me right now, I do really like the idea of going Isaiah Mobley for over points, rebounds, and assists on PrizePicks. Do you want to do the under there with Bates? That's going to be up for you guys to decide. And then just kind of looking at some of the other games that we have here, we have Philly versus Atlanta, but really all of the props that we're getting for that specific game, they all feel a little bit too high to me. So what I want to be looking at is I want to be looking at Brooklyn versus Toronto. Let's go ahead and take a look at Brooklyn. Now, looking at kind of the studs that are on their slate, you got Amari Brooks. They blew up the Bucks last game, and so it's tough to really gauge whether they're spreading out their minutes just to spread out their minutes, or they're spreading out their minutes because the game was a blowout. What we do know is that Kennedy Chandler still got the minutes that he typically had been getting, 29, 25, and 29. So let's see if we have any props for him on the day. And we'll see. We do not have that just yet. That's going to be the one that I want, but I think that's the reason why we are not getting it just yet. So let's go ahead and flip up and get into the other side of that game. We got Grady Dick, who he has been playing a lot of minutes. Last game was his best game by far. Shot the ball a ton, had a really good first half, but only 2 for 10 from 3-ball range. So it's tough to really see him having another good game. You look at what the Nets were able to do against the Bucks with Marjon Beauchamp kind of struggling in the last game. He had been someone that had been playing extremely well. I could potentially see that happening with Grady Dick. Let's take a peek at him. And so his line for points is at 16.5. That is probably right. I'd probably be steering towards the under there, but not exactly when I want to go out of my way to go ahead and bet. Marquise Noel kind of continues to be a disappointment, kind of proving why he's went undrafted. I don't know if you guys saw the clip with him last game. He tried to do the Steph Curry no-look 3-ball, and it was terrible. He barely hit the backboard, and that was it. It was bad. But he's been struggling. So in some capacity, we could be doing some sort of under. If you think he's going to continue to struggle, I want to see if we're going to get any good assist props with him. We're not, unfortunately. I was going to say, 5 assists, we could probably bet the over. We're not getting that there for him. So probably just to stay away, you could bet the under from him if you want to. Now we're going to go ahead and move on into that Bucks game. Now, like I said, in the last game with the Bucks, Marjon Beauchamp did struggle, but that was simply because they had 2 other players coming back. One of those being Lindell Wigginton, who only played 17 minutes. So I find this line that we're getting on him extremely interesting. I don't really know why we'd be getting that line. And I wanted to see, I'm like, is there kind of a reason why we're getting 14.5? Like maybe Beauchamp isn't expected to play. I didn't get any news on that. Okay, so we can see plus 120 to get 15 points. Okay, not exactly the best line. It's kind of a wait and see approach though. If we get potential news that he's going to play more minutes, that'd be something we have to look on Twitter. Like, if you're looking at this prop, trying to find them, just search something on Twitter. Typically speaking, there's some sort of report. The unfortunate side is that we typically have to do it 10 minutes before lineup lock. That's really how it goes. So all in all, the issue that we have with a lot of these games is that we don't have enough information. So right now, I don't think we have enough information for Wigginton. I will say AJ Green was someone I thought would be a very good play. Once again, that game was a blowout pretty much right away. A lot of the Bucks players didn't get minutes. He did start, but he only played 14 minutes, only shot the ball 3 times as well. He is someone that typically can score. So So I've found that to be pretty strange there as well. Maybe there's some sort of edge there if they populate those props in there. Let's go and flip it and get into the Miami side of it. So it seems like Jaquez is going to sit tonight, which is kind of unfortunate. I wish I could play him. He's a solid player. But what does that mean? We're probably going to get decent minutes for Jamal Cain. Jovic, we don't exactly know what his minutes are going to be. Okay, so tough to say what we want to do there. But Orlando Robinson has been extremely interesting as a play. Okay, he's gotten 32 and 33 minutes the past 2 games. Obviously not someone we're really chasing for production around the basketball, but 13 for 22, that's kind of strange. I would say this is more of the norm, but we do expect him to get rebounds. So we can see the only prop that we are getting for him is going to be points right now, but we will see that there is a prop line difference there. Okay, I struggle to see him getting 17.5 points, especially if Taco Fall is getting some decent minutes, just a little bit bigger body. I know Taco Fall is not really that good, but just a bigger presence there. And so it's really up to you guys what you want to do there. If you think he's going to struggle, by far, or the one that I would like a decent amount would be the under there for him. That's up for you guys to decide though. I just want to point that out. And now we do have more games with Houston and Golden State. So let's take a peek at that one. So Golden State went into an overtime game yesterday. I'm not sure if that's going to change any of their minutes at all. I will say this, Leicester shot the ball a ton, okay? And he obviously played a lot of minutes. It's just, are they really going to give him that many minutes back-to-back games? I wonder. And personally, I kind of struggle to see that. He didn't really shoot the basketball all too well as well. 8 for 23. Most of his production came from free throws. And I was watching this game, guys, and the rest kind of sucked. There's so many ticky-tacky fouls. I would say half the fouls in the game should not have been called. Seriously, it was. I hope that's not a sign of what the season's going to be. Like, that was just, I could see betting the under in some capacity for him. 21 points seems like a lot. Even if he only makes 8 buckets and, only gets 4 free throws, that's only 20 points there. Then we also see Santos there as well, who he was involved in the game, but that was by far his best game, I would say, thus far this summer league. He did get a lot of minutes once again, but are they really going to get 30 minutes again on a back-to-back? We will see. I do want to call out Braden here as well. He only played 32 minutes. He was 1 for 10. Okay. He hasn't really shot the basketball all too well. I'm very curious as to if we are going to get a line on him at all, because he is someone that is productive rebounds and assists wise. So I'm hoping that we do get some sort of prop with him, simply because it's tough to see him having 3 straight terrible night shooting games. So I do think there could be an edge there. Whether it'd probably be points, rebounds, and assists would be the one that we'd want to go with. Let's say he does get, around 10 points, maybe 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 12 of these combined, 10 points. So if the line is 21.5, I think that'd be a great line to attack the over with. Obviously, we don't have that just yet. And then looking into Charlotte. So Nick Smith Jr. He looked really, really good in the last game. He was all over the court. Okay. Tough to see him really continuing that. 13 for 20. That was insane. But he did look really good. It's kind of a high energy game for him. That being said as well, Brandon Miller finally had himself a decent game. Okay. 26 points, 7 for 7 from free throws, which was nice. And he did make some 3-ball attempts. I wouldn't say he exactly dominated though. It didn't really seem like it. So it's tough to say exactly what we want to do with him. But I do want to call out that we are getting a prop line difference there with him as well. So if you think he's going to play well again, you could bet the over here. I'm fine with that. But I think the under and underdog would be the way to go. Just based off what I've seen, but obviously they're invested in him. They want him to play well. He should play a decent amount because he hasn't looked all too good. So he needs to have a good game. I guess it wouldn't be surprising to see him have a good game. The nice part about NBA Summer League right now is that we are gaining a decent amount of prop line differences that we could take advantage of in some capacity. Let's go ahead and look at the Pelicans. So Dyson Daniels, he's been playing well. If he continues to get this much run, he should be a decent option. Like DFS wise, he'd be a great option. You could tell that by his price. But when we look at it, we're not really getting any good props on him just yet. Jordan Hawkins went 1 for 12 in his last game, so he'd be someone that we could look at for a potential bounce back game shooting the basketball. PrizePicks does have a line out for him at 15.5. I would say that's probably just right. I don't know if I would exactly want to touch that. So we continue on. We have the likely G League MVP if he continues to play in Shaedon Sharpe. That's with Keontae George getting injured. If Shaedon Sharpe continues to get minutes, he's going to continue to be productive. And apparently Scoot Henderson is going to be out again tonight who's going to be out for the rest of the summer league. So with that, that should open up some minutes to go around. Maybe someone like Michael is more productive then. He's been shooting the 3-ball very well. Didn't have that many shot attempts as a whole, though, in the previous game against Charlotte. Still only had 28 minutes. Called that up because we are getting a line of 12.5. You know, if he gets a few more shot attempts, then obviously could easily get that over without breaking too much of a sweat. Then lastly, looking at, well, not lastly, we have 2 more games, but looking at Brandon Williams for the Timberwolves versus the Kings. He was someone that I was pretty high on yesterday. I really like the prop lines that we were getting for him. And so right now we are getting an increased point prop for Brandon Williams, and that's the only thing that we're getting. So if we get a points, rebounds, and assist prop again at around 25 or 26, I probably would take the over there, but that's really the only prop bet that I want to go and make there. And then I do find this prop line for Leonard Miller kind of interesting. PrizePicks has the line set at 15.5, and if we look at his production, has been getting double-digit shot attempts and has gotten the over 4 or 3 straight games. So he is someone that the last 2 games as well has gone around 30 minutes, which, you know, obviously we like to see. And we see that that led to a few more shot attempts than the first game. So with that being said, you know, not a terrible line there. If he makes 2 threes like he has the previous 2 games, that should very much help. It's kind of one of those situations where he has probably played better than they expected, so they might give him some additional run then. And now lastly, looking at the Kings, Jordan Ford has been someone that's played around 30 minutes each game thus far. Okay, we can see terrible night shooting the basketball, and then he bounced back really well. Tough to say how he's going to shoot the basketball tonight, but I will say that this line of 14.5 is pretty nice. It's probably one of those situations where I kind of wish, and I actually see it here if we are getting that. I was going to say, I kind of don't mind the idea of like the plus 240 here because it kind of seems like one of those situations where if he does get the over, which they're kind of favoring the over right now, basically DraftKings is, he's really going to crush is kind of my point. Then we do see Kessler Edwards there as well. He hasn't exactly been shooting the basketball enough to warrant any prop, I would say. So I'm very shocked that we are getting any sort of line for him. So if you want to bet the under, you could. It's probably mostly just to stay away. So I do just want to call it this as well. I'm sure that we'll get more props throughout the day. There's a lot of games today, so they're not going to be releasing lines until they feel comfortable enough to release the lines. I would say an hour before lineup block, maybe half an hour before lineup block, we'll get more props. And that's kind of why I covered it the way I did today. Looking at it though, right now, these are the prop line differences that we see available for NBA Summer League. And so this would be my bet of the day. But obviously it's probably going to be live, so it's not really worth mentioning. I do find it interesting just how much Isaiah Mobley has been kind of disrespected by props thus far this Summer League. But that is it. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. Just kind of talking through the slate for you. Let's have a good slate today, and as always, let's keep cashing.